Thank you. Good morning, everyone. That's the title of my organization, Don't Mislead You. Our ministry is well responsible for horizontal coordination of e-government matters in Latvia on e-government strategy, so not only environmental protection and regional development in our ministries. I'm very delighted to speak here and introduce you with Latvian Presidency Digital Priority. And in next 20 to 25 minutes, I will give a brief introduction of the main focus points, the progress reached so far, and approach how we tend to move the digital agenda forward during our presidency. And at the second part of the presentation, I would like to share with you a few case studies from Latvia on the topics we'll discuss in the first part, some case studies. And the one may ask maybe why digital as one of the priorities of the presidency, and the one answer is clear that it's estimated that the benefits from fully functional digital single market would equal, it's close to GDP of the Austria. So we have one more European country if we realize the potential of digital. But for Latvia, it's as well important issue, the digital. Latvians like to say, apart from wood, digital is the second most important natural resource of Latvia. So we have wood, then comes digital. And Latvians use digital a lot. Digital takes an important place in our economy and everyday life of citizens and businesses. People in Latvia appreciate the benefits of the third fastest internet in Europe and most dense Wi-Fi coverage of EU capitals. I hope you had a chance to use it in Riga. And yes, Latvians are not only very active online magazine or readers or participators in social networks, but more and more internet is used for practical tasks that allow greatly optimize our daily routines. For example, 3 out of 4 citizens on a daily basis use internet banks, and Latvian entrepreneurs use widely e-government solutions to communicate with government electronically. Actually, currently we made research this at the end of the last year, and we discovered or counted that more than 50% of procedures with government can be done electronically at the moment in Latvia. And digital has become a default standard for public sector, and citizens are guaranteed a right to communicate with public administration, and starting from the April, not only public administration, also public utility service providers such as telecoms, such as energy providers or post, they are guaranteed right to communicate electronically. But returning to presidency, out of many digital issues that could be addressed, Latvian presidency is focused on 3: building trust in digital single market, modernization of public sector by use of ICT, and security and cyberspace. Under the pillar of trust in digital single market, we focus on 2 aspects. First, it's building trust in online environment. If we don't trust, we avoid the digital environment. So it's important not only to tackle the technical questions, but as well the questions of security aspects. And besides security and cybersecurity, it's about trust in protection of my personal data, it's about feeling confident about my consumer rights, and so on. So these are the questions about building trust. The second, elimination of cross-border barriers. Recently have been adopted the ADAS regulation, what's a huge step towards trusted identification in digital Europe. So we have a single regulation for that. But there are more left barriers such as roaming fees, copyrights, interoperability, and of course language barrier. And during our presidency we pay also a special attention to this kind of barrier, the language barrier, that still challenges us a possibility to feel like a home in every country of European Union. Under the pillar of public sector modernization, the main message is transformation by use of digital, but I will come to that later in more details. Presidency's period is 6 months, so to have some results, our approach is to prioritize and focus. We have just 6 months. So we have divided our presidency work in two flows. The first flow is work on current files on the table that we have. And here we focus primarily on the pending legislative files that will eliminate cross-border barriers and which are prerequisites for digital single market. In next slides, I will give a short insight in some of those files. Other flow is non-legislative, so we don't have any regulations here, but as you know, Commission in the next week will come up with a digital single market strategy, and we very welcome the preparation of this strategy. And our main effort here is to facilitate discussions in different council formations on how digital could help to uncap the potential in every sector, not only in telecoms, not only in some financial sectors, but in all sectors, how we could use the digital potential. So streamline digital in all sectors, it's the main task of non-legislative work for our presidency. And regarding high priority legislative files, I would like to mention at least three have to be mentioned there. Important one. The first one is Network and Information Security Directive. Directive will provide basis for network and information security standards in European Union. It will state member states to have cyber strategies. Some already have, but some no. It creates cyber incidents cooperation networks, and it foresees reporting obligation for cyber incidents having impact not only on government systems, but on other critical infrastructure such as banks, energy, transport, and what's important, on e-commerce and search engines as well. Some call this directive or regulation as end of Wild West Internet. So as well, the companies which provide their services from not only from European Union but outside in Europe will have to obey those regulations. A telecom single market regulation, important files that contains regulation on roaming fees and open internet aspects is the second one. On roaming part, if agreement is reached on current proposal, it will be a substantial reduction of roaming charges for telecom and data services abroad, and will be one more step closer to phase out roaming surcharges at all. The current proposal foresees that basic roaming allowance is introduced, and this will allow you for some period of time when you travel abroad to use the mobile or telecom operators as you would use it in your home country. And after this period or some limit of data or minutes, there will be a small surcharge on top of this your home tariffs. But it will be a much more less than it's currently is at the moment. Second aspect is open internet in the same package or net neutrality, and it states the principles that equal traffic is treated equally and operators are not allowed to block, slow down, or discriminate against specific content or services, music, video, or any other. We are happy that on those two files we have, during our presidency, there have been reached a good progress, and discussions with Parliament are ongoing, and we hope to have a good progress on that. And third is data protection regulation, which will introduce a unified data protection regulation in European Union. It will replace the current data protection regulation. Besides other, it will guarantee citizens' right to access its data and right to be forgotten. And currently, partial general agreement has been reached on principles that national data protection institution serves as point of single contact if your data have been mistreated elsewhere in European Union. So you can go to your own home country data protection institution, and there will be only single registration for whole European Union if you want to register your data system. There are different other files, but I won't go in details with them. These are files on web accessibility. We are working in a working party at the moment, and also preparation of ASA Square. It's package for investments in ICT for next period. Public sector modernization, as I already mentioned, is second pillar of digital priority, and now a little bit more specific about this priority. From our perspective, it is crucial that the public sector is efficient and innovative, because the public sector accounts for nearly half of European GDP, and it plays an important role in vitalizing economies. And the second aspect is that to have a truly digital Europe, member states and Commission should lead by example. We cannot force our digital strategies without changing ourselves. So this is a second aspect why it's important to have public sector modernization as one of the key principles of digital single market from our perspective. Public sector must be efficient and innovative in two ways. In a way, it modernizes process and services, and the second, in a way, it modernizes development of policies and regulations that will actually shape the future of business and industries. Thus, public sector modernization should be a part of strategy. The overarching principle or the general motto of the Latvian presidency is regarding this matter is digital by default. Digital technology is allowed to do things differently, and it's not only about digitalizing 100-year-old procedures. If we do like that, we don't get the gains, we just digitalize it. It's about doing things differently, redesigning processes, co-creation of services. It's about sharing of tools and collaboration across the sectors. Administration and Commission are authors of rules and regulations that have huge impact on businesses' environment. So we need to ensure that all legislative acts on national and EU level fit for digital age. They should be future-proof. New digital business models are challenging existing regulatory systems. We must adopt a new way of policy making to not create barriers for innovation development. For example, regulations that takes into account usage of biometrics, some open interfaces, big data, drones, language technologies, or even recently launched Google 5 project. It provides wireless telecom services at the moment in USA only, but still. Every public service and process primarily have to be developed as electronic service, and what's one more thing we would like to stress, that every sector and every policy area has to be ICT boosted. Whether it's health, education, whether it's environment or some other, digital is not a small and specific part of our economy. Digital aspects are at the core of the development of every sector. And in our perspective, digital aspects are not anymore a business of IT ministries, of IT working groups, or other narrow clubs of IT professionals. Now it's everybody's business. Our overall objective is to maximize the benefits from digital technologies in every sector, and government is one of them. So what are the preconditions from our perspective to move those digital transformations and in every sector, in every business? To accomplish this, we need the real leadership, mindset of openness, sharing and innovation, and contemporary skill set. Leadership, we see it's a major precondition for digital Europe. It's a digital savvy leaders who are truly interested in their subject, which are responsible for the subject, and which are determined to drive the changes. We see that not from outside, but from inside of the sectors have come out those leaders which are digital savvy and which are determined to drive changes in their sector. Culture of collaboration and sharing. And here we talk about two aspects. It's across the silos within the government, across the Europe. We have built a lot of national level systems or platforms, and now we see it's time to move to pan-European platforms, pan-European digital ecosystems. But besides that, we have to think outside the government as well. activists, NGOs, private sectors. We see as government and private sector processes intervene more and more, digital platforms must become multi-stakeholder platforms, used not only by administrations, but being open for other sectors as well. Open data startups, banking sector, public utility providers, or even NGOs. So we see that we have to become more open. And of course, digital skills are needed, and they are crucial aspect of the government transformation. We urgently need more digitally skilled people. But again, not only professionals, not only IT people. It's about that everyone needs digital skills. You need to be able to use ICT tool as an instrument in your own domain. User experience, design, code design, multidisciplinary synergies, and so on. These are skills required to drive real changes. Therefore, we have come to working methods of the presidency. And we've tried to construct the working methods to facilitate that digital aspects are inherited in every sector, not only in some specific telecom sectors, for example, or IT sectors. To accomplish it, the presidency work is to streamline discussions on digital aspects in every sector, not only among digital professionals, but among political and professional leaders of each specific sector. Currently, there have been discussions on digital aspects in competitiveness, transport, telecom and energy, as well as education, youth, culture, and sport councils and others. We have made a summary of that in our synthesis report. Publication of digital single market strategy is expected right after 1 week, on the 6th of May. So after, we will continue the work, and we'll continue discussions on the release strategy and various council formations. At the end, what would we like to achieve? We would like to see the European Council in June 2015 as digital council, where leaders of governments on the highest political level come with clear support for digital single market strategy and particular initiatives regarding open, collaborative government and removal of cross-border barriers, already mentioned before. For that, we are planning to prepare Presidency's report as an input on, from our previous discussions in different councils. We believe that such approach will, with wide sectoral involvement, will give us several benefits. First, it will bridge the gap between top-level political decisions and real work carried out later on in Council. If politicals on highest level agree, we must ensure that also the Council working groups take these decisions on board. So we are working before with them on those questions. We will ensure ownership, that each of the sector owns the digital as its tool for innovation and for improvement, and we will facilitate uptake of digital aspects in all sectors. Between the release of a strategy and European Council, there will be a digital assembly, one of the largest or important events during Latvian presidency on digital aspects, and it will be the first place where publicly the strategy will be discussed with different stakeholders. So you are free to follow the schedule of presidency, and if you're interested, live translations will be provided also from this event. Now I have come to the second part of my presentation, and I would like to introduce few examples on how digital technologies and open government principles have been applied to transform public sector in Latvia. By the way, maybe someone of you knows what's the device on the screen. Maybe you can raise your hand if you have some idea. Okay, there are a lot of ideas. So my colleagues, then they saw first the slides. They said it looks some USB like port, and they said you have to explain what you have put on your slide. So I will try that, but some of you already know. Yes, it's a micro photo camera, and actually it's a Latvian high-tech back in 1937, and its photo camera Minox was invented by Latvian Walter Staps. And how it relates to our discussion of today. This device was invented initially as luxury gadget, but soon it became widely used by government, by secret services of government, to use it as a spy camera. So already in 1937, the government used these technologies and innovations. But okay, let me share more current examples as well. Technologies, apart from efficiency, set new standards in government transparency and provide new methods of public participation as well. And Latvia is one of the rare EU countries where everyone can follow government and parliamentary work online. Not only draft regulations, but even sittings are streamlined online. An example of e-participation and cooperation between government and NGO is social initiative platform My Voice. And it's a very interesting example. Citizens are empowered to submit their ideas to Parliament by submitting ideas and voting on online initiative platform. But what's interesting, platform is provided by NGOs. It's not the government-run platform. But law empowers it as a legal tool for citizens' participation, binding for Parliament. When 10,000 votes are reached, idea must be presented and discussed in Parliament. So not always the government must create the tools. Sometimes we can use other tools from parts which are like more advanced in the specific of, for example, e-participation. Other tool, mobile application football. It's used to fight ineffective government processes. In Latvia, we call it a bad football if one institution asks you to bring document from other institutions, and in citizens call it like institutions are playing football with you. So Prime Minister's Bureau and State Chancellery released an application and called it football. So it's a way how to improve a government. It empowers citizens to notify and fight situations where citizens is being asked to submit information that is already in other institution. And this information from the platform, from this application, goes to Prime Minister office or bureau, and then the letter is sent to the institution and ask why you are doing like that, and please change the processes and so on. So it's a very like a strong tool. Such tool is useful to spot bad administration, bad football. It's a good indicator, but it's not a real solution. And we see that implementation of once only principle and redesign of processes must be at the heart of this improvement. So a few examples. Once only principle in tax refund and public officials declarations. Data from state and private entity registers are gathered online, and citizens or public officials don't need provide it. Information is collected from 5 different registers and from private entities, even from private entities, insurance bodies in this case. This has allowed to reduce the time needed for fixing tax declarations or filling tax declarations for public officials to 5 minutes. So yes, it's the way how we can avoid playing football. We can provide information from registers right into the service. Other example, automatic validation of public procurement exclusion criteria. Each of country has some regulation of how what information has to be provided for public procurement institutions, and then checked about tax debts, law offenses, insolvency, and before this solution, entrepreneur had to visit at least 3 institutions to get compliance approvals to submit with procurement documentation. And the most comic situations were that even when you participate in public procurement of state revenue service, you had to submit compliance approval issued by state revenue service as well. So, but now the case is different. Now entrepreneurs are not anymore involved, and real-time data are gathered from more than 123 state and municipal registers, and to Procurement Commission they are presented via a single dashboard. The first year results show that each entrepreneur saves approximately 8.2 hours per procurement, while government saves equivalent of work hours of 14 employees. So benefits of once only principal implementation can be substantial. Key enablers for such transformations and implementation of once only is one, of course, is change of processes, but also there are some technical solutions, the platforms. In Latvia, we use it, call it interoperability platform, which provides building blocks of authentication, payment, portal, available for every institution. Payments, for example, are provided by 6 most commonly used internet banks of Latvia, and the authentication service are provided by national EID and commercial banks as well. It connects the government registers, and it connects also government registers to third-party services and data providers, as in case when we have to gather information from insurance bodies or we provide payment services by internet banks. Our vision is that government build solutions, whether they are built for national or cross-border usage, must be built as open building blocks and shared not only among administrations but NGO and private sector as well. For example, this platform is also used for universities, for more than 10 private and state-owned universities to provide electronic service when students can apply for studies. And yes, they cover not only state but as well as government, private universities. Another example is a synergy of platforms. For a long period of time, government had been using bank sector electronic identification and payment solutions to provide convenient way for citizens to access basic government services. As bank tools were available before the national EID was implemented, it was a good tool how to provide e-government service with the tools that are already available for citizens. But currently, the interesting fact is that the major banks of Latvia, or one of the major banks of Latvia, have a fully integrated national EID in their own iBank solution. And the reason for that is to provide more advanced level digital services via its internet bank, where highest level of EID assurance is needed. So it's not enough about their tools they are using, scratch cards or code calculators. They need something more, and the government can provide it. So they can provide with digital ID payments with higher limits. You can open temporary account, or you can sign agreement on overdraft or microcredit way as an internet bank. It allows for private sector to add additional service level and more to complete and move to completely digital only service strategy. So one of the challenge for government tool, as we have faced, is take-up from user side. For example, at the moment, national EID struggles with such a problem in Latvia. But the problem, but maybe not the problem, but the challenge is that internet bank tools were before that, so they are more widely at the moment used. But from our experience, it would be more likely that solutions will be more successful and used if it will be used across the sectors, across the administrations. So we see that if national ID will provide additional service not only in government sector but only in private sector, it will give additional benefits, and citizens will more use. And for each of service, for each of case, maybe we don't need a universal single solution. We could use different regarding the complexity. Of course, it comes with challenges regarding scalability and need for robust implementation on government side or in platform side. But in any way, it will drive that those solutions are more user friendly and more widely used. So we see that also in these aspects we need to cooperate and collaborate. So I'm reaching my 30 minutes, but so I have come to the end. I won't tell you about Hugo, because about Hugo you have heard a lot in those 3 days. So I have come to almost my last slide. And I would like to conclude with quotations that I once found in Brussels corridor, and it's a quotation of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Our task is not to foresee the future, but to enable it. And of course, we cannot predict everything, but we can create environments which allow innovation to grow. And sharing, collaboration, and being open is a way to create ecosystem where public, NGO, and private sector can settle, can grow, and interact with each other to form a single, and from customer perspective, integrated European digital single market. And I foresee that the next session about CEF will touch upon this question a lot of, and at the very end, a short advertisement. So let me take an opportunity to invite you to take a virtual tour of Latvian Digital Solutions if it seems interesting to you in Riga ITDemoCenter.com.